Joseph Michael is a celebrity hairstylist based out of Los Angeles and New York. After training with the top color and styling artists, he quickly established himself as a hairstylist whose passion, professionalism, and love of fashion made him highly sought after. Joseph has styled looks for Fashion Week shows, editorial shoots, high-profile red carpet events, advertising campaigns, international brand campaigns, music videos, TV shows, and pilots alike. Working as a stylist since October of 2007, he has a growing list of celebrity clients, including Bella Thorne, Kiiara, Fuentes, Gregg Sulkin, Michelle Randolph, Cassie Randolph, Logan Paul, Ashley Tisdale, Blake Lively, Robyn Lively, aka Teen Witch, Heidi Klum, Diane Keaton, and Katey Sagal, to name a few. Joseph's specialties include color and color corrections, cuts, styling, extensions, and keratin treatments. His technique and versatile expertise in extensions and styling have made him a go-to stylist for beautiful, thick, voluminous, Victoria's Secret-like hairstyles with body, bounce, and movement. His beachy glam styles have led him to work with top beauty companies including T3, Oribe, Goldwell, Richy Hair, and Vegamor, among others. All right, I am joined by Joseph Michael. Joseph, welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Happy New Year. It sounds terrible. I'm saying this is gonna air mid-month. I feel like it's fine. Anyway, happy 2023. It's the first time that I've been back. And we are so excited to be talking to you. So for people that are living under a rock and they don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself if you could.
So I am a hairstylist out here in LA. I work in LA and New York, so bi-coastal. I've been doing it for about 10 years now, 10 to 12 years. And yeah, I ended up getting lucky and working with like a lot of influencers and celebrities for a while. So I think that's pretty much
it's luck as much as making it happen, but we'll get into that. In terms of your origin story, how did you come to the beauty industry?
So when I first started out, I actually used to do marketing and accounting. And during that time of my life, I really wanted to transition into something a little differently. So I ended up doing makeup for a while, actually, for about 2 or 3 years. And from there, I started working on sets, started working with Jamie Foxx for a while, started working with another hairstylist that started bringing me on to like more production sets and meeting a few actresses and stuff like that. And from there, I just kind of had more of a passion for hair, I've noticed. So I decided to go to school and like check that out. And then from there, kind of just blew up. And that was like about 14 years ago now. So time flew.
Wow. So you didn't envision beauty to start, but it turned into both a passion and then a profession.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I first started out, I mean, it was something that was always in the back of my head throughout like high school and everything. But I was like, you know what? No, it's like, I don't know if I'm really going to be able to do that. And the pressure of everything was just a lot. But one day I was just like, you know what? I just want to go for it and just see what it's like. And if I fail, I fail. If I don't, I don't. So thank God I did.
I'd say. All right. So then what has that process been like? I mean, you talked a little bit about sort of your starting working with a few and then with others. You've amassed quite a clientele of celebs and influencers. How did that happen?
To be honest, it was really word of mouth, having like a really good personality and just like having good energy around people is what I've noticed has been like the kind of saving grace in my career. I get along with people. I'm very intuitive. So just reading people's energies was really nice. So, from there, I think celebrities, actresses, actors, influencers, they really just want real people around them. They don't want anybody really like, just liking them for who they are in a sense. So for me, it was really easy just to kind of be around it. I grew up in LA. I grew up in the Valley. So growing up there, it was like, I went to school with like, actors and actresses and, that age. So it was, for me, it was like kind of normal to see everybody around. But, one friend led to another friend, led to another friend, and then it just became word of mouth and it just kind of started blowing up. And then I also started during like the age of like Instagram starting out, which helped drastically. Well, that helped quite a bit too.
Amazing. Well, talk to us about your beauty school experience. What was that like for you? So again, you had a career, you went to beauty school to formalize things. The things that you liked, things you maybe didn't like. We'd love to hear about it.
So when I first started out, like I said, I was doing makeup. So for me, it was a really big deal to kind of switch in and be like, all right, I'm going to focus, go to school full time for hair. So I did that. And from there, I went to the most like smallest school deep in the Valley. It was not the best. but it was it got me my license, and that's all I
Yep,
needed it to do was get
truly.
my license. And from there, I just I networked myself. I worked
Mm,
very long hours. Like I said, throughout school, I was lucky enough to know a few people that were already in the industry. So I was working on America's Next Top Model for a while. I was doing makeup with a few of their episodes. I did a lot of runway shows, and then pilots. So
mm.
during the time that I was in school, I was actually doing makeup and dabbling in hair on set. So I was kind of doing both at the same time, and just kind of honestly pushing myself to be the best I could be during that time, and just kind of get out of school and kind of know what I needed to do and what I wanted to
Mhm.
handle.
Oh, well, pushing yourself seems to have paid off.
Yeah.
So maybe that's some advice for people. Maybe push a little bit outside of their comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
For listeners that don't have familiarity with LA and entertainment culture, what is a pilot season?
So pilots are when people are shooting TV shows that haven't came out yet. So essentially what a show will have to do is shoot the first 3 episodes first to see if the network likes it, and if they like it, then they'll pick it up and they'll start shooting a lot more. So pilots are the actors all coming together. We're creating a TV show that has not been done yet and trying to get it off the ground, essentially.
Very, very cool. And especially in terms of hair design and all of that. So great to have that experience.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the pivot. So, I mean, again, doing production aside, then you're working with celebs, whether for their events, for photo shoots, for video products. I mean, we talked about music videos eventually.
Mhm.
How did that come to be? So you mentioned word of mouth. What was the first client that you were repeat working with in terms of
Um,
celebs?
so when I first started out, man, so I'm back. I mean, the first few clients that I worked with were Bella Thorne was one of my first clients that I started working with. Pia Mia was also another one. Then I started working with Kiiara, who was another singer.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, just friend groups. It's a very tight knit group in LA. So when one friend's like, "Oh, I really like your hair. Who did it?" and they're like, "Go to this guy. He's gonna hook you up." And then Instagram is like, "I love what you did. Let me tag you." And then it just kind of became a thing of everyone's friends started coming to me, and then it became all friend groups, which just happened to be the actors and actresses that were in shows at that moment as well.
So, of your celeb clientele, who is the most willing to change it up? Because there is, a tendency with certain people, they've got a look that's established. They don't
Mhm.
want to stray too far from that. So, of the clientele that you work with, who's willing to change it up, go big, go bold most often?
I would have to say one of my best friends, Kiiara. She's, the singer Kiiara. She's
Yep.
single. She's had a lot of big hits. If you've noticed in all of her music videos, she's had a different hair color. I've
Uh-huh.
pretty much done almost all of them with her, unless I was out of town for some reason. Um, but yeah, no, we did different colors. She's been every color of the rainbow, short, long, thick, thinner. She's gone for every kind of look. And I think just working with those kind of people in the industry has been really reinvigorating at
Mhm.
times. You get so bored after a while doing the same colors and stuff. So just having people come in and push the limits, and someone else being like, "Whoa, I love that. Let's do that with me too." And I just love that energy. It's been great.
Amazing. So with Kiara in particular, when you're talking about changing it up, obviously tons of different hair colors. We'll link out to some videos that you've worked on in the show notes. But how does that happen? How much of it is her coming to you with an idea? How much of it is you coming to her? Talk to us about that process, because I find that that's going to be fascinating.
So usually whenever I do a client consultation, I'll always have them bring me photos of what they would want their
Mhm.
hair to look like. Everyone sees color differently. So it's always easier for me to be like, bring me a picture. And then I ask them, what do you like about this picture? And what do you hate about this picture? Because we all see tones differently. So if I
Yep.
can match what they're seeing in that photo and put it in their hair with saving the integrity of their hair at the same time, then I'm definitely going for that. So with Kiiara, a lot of it was her own hair, and we did extension work a lot. So
Mhm.
it's always about compromising, be like, okay, this is what your hair can handle, and this is what your hair can't, but we can create the solution by doing this. So
Mhm.
that's kind of been my go-to with certain colors and styles for sure.
Are you into any particular color brands? Talk to us a little bit about that. How do you go about picking the right product for clients?
So I have started off with Madriel, Davines, Wella, Schwarzkopf. I've tried so many
Mhm.
lines. And for like, I would say the last 8 years, I've really stuck religiously to Goldwell. It's
Mm.
just been like the best color line for me. It has multiple range of tones from like the brunettes to reds to coppers to blondes. And it just has always been like a color that I've been able to work with, that I would know whatever I use, I get the precise tone that I want. So just making sure that I have a really good high-end color line that's going to condition the hair without drying it out has always
Mm.
been a very big priority to me. I know Goldwell is one of the most expensive color lines out there, but it is worth it. And, the clients will come to you if it's the product that you're using. They don't want
Mhm.
to be like, oh, I want it to be a blonde and then walk out and be completely broken off. They're going to want, everything to be good, healthy, and be back. You don't want to lose a client
Yeah.
essentially.
All right. So talk to us a little bit about that on-set styling. So you've colored probably beforehand.
Mhm.
Make sure that you guys like that it's, camera ready and everything.
Yeah.
You arrive on set. Like, what is in your kits, both in terms of hot tools, brushes? Talk to us about that.
So my go-to tools have been T3 for sure. I've always loved their interchangeable curling irons. It's always come in handy on set just because I have every single barrel rod. So you just never know what the energy is of an artist that
Mhm.
day. So you get to set and you may think the night before when you're talking, she wanted straight sleek hair, and then she's Googling and Pinteresting all night. And then she's like, nope, screw that. I want it up curls, tight curls here, looser here. So it's always been like one of my go-to tools, just to know that like no matter what style I need to come into, they have everything there.
Mm.
As far as round brushes, I'm obsessed with YS Park. They have been like the greatest, smoothest brush for me in finishing styles. Spornet also has really good ionic brushes that concave, which help leave a little bit of a softer curl and wave on the hair, which I've been
Mm.
obsessed with. As far as styling products, for sure, Oribe has been my top. Together Beauty
Classic.
is another one. And definitely their sprays, hair sprays with Oribe has been like, I'm obsessed with their lacquer sprays. I definitely need to have on set always. Yeah.
Incredible. So when you're on set, you talked a little bit about this. Like the artist might change their mind about something. They've been thinking about something overnight. The directors, other creatives that are jumping in, talking to you about, oh, let's try this, that. How do you keep your cool when there's like a pivot that's required?
Okay, so I don't know if it's a cocky way of entering sets in, but I definitely walk in with the energy of just knowing it's just me and the artist that day.
Mm. Mm.
Because I've been on many sets where we're doing something the artist doesn't want and it messes up the entire day and it can screw up everything. So my
Mm.
goal is to make the artist happy. So when I
Mm.
get there, I'm like, I don't care what you're saying. I'm asking her if she wants this, I'm doing this, because essentially she's got to feel good. She's got to be good. And so I will not deviate from what her and I talk about usually, or he and I talk
Mm.
about essentially, for their styles. Anyone else coming in, it's one ear out the other, kind of, until I know that, all right, this is what she wants, because it's just, I feel like sometimes it's too many chefs in the kitchen type of thing.
For sure. And interesting to hear that from the actual artists that are working with the on-screen talent, because, it's not always clear how these decisions are ultimately made. But that makes total sense. What's it like being on set for some of these things? So for our listeners that are like not in the entertainment world, not working on music videos or TV, etc., you got your kit, you're backstage, you're working with the talent, but like, what are the things that happen that maybe you wouldn't know about if you weren't working sets?
A lot of downtime. You're sitting down a lot. You're getting someone ready for 3.5 hours, and then you're shooting something for 45 minutes, 30 minutes, and then you're changing their look for another 2.5 hours, and you're waiting for the next scene. It's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of really staring at hair in case they need to retake a scene, because in the middle of a scene they might be like, okay, wait, we're going to reset from the middle of that, and you have to make sure their hair is parted perfectly. I don't know if you notice sometimes in TV when you're watching a show where they'll be like acting and they cut the scene, but their hair is completely parted a different way.
That
They're like,
continuity kills
yeah,
me. Yep.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right. So what is it? in terms of favorites, like big moments, I mean, you mentioned, obviously production, we talked a lot about this in terms of TV, music videos, but you also talked about New York Fashion Weeks, photo shoots. Like, what is it that really like gets your creative juices flowing? What are you most excited about when you like look at your calendar, you're like, oh, I've got this. What is that gets you excited?
Honestly, changes, big color changes, people, wanting to go in for something like completely different than what they normally would have. When I have some people that I'm like looking at my schedule, I'm like, oh, today's gonna be a good day. Someone's going from like short hair to like a good 18, 20 inches and like brunette to blonde and just changing up their entire look. I love giving people like an entire, I guess what you would say, makeover in a sense of just giving them that confidence again. I think I've noticed a lot of that, especially through the pandemic, people going through and, how much getting their hair done meant truly to them. Just to feel good about themselves was amazing. So just to have those kind of jobs or, projects daily has always been like really reinvigorating for what I'm doing.
Well, talk to us a little bit about that too. So in terms of the people that are not celebs that you're working with, what are trends that you're seeing, things that have blown up that you're excited about beyond like the sort of dramatic transformations? Like when you're looking ahead at 2023, what are you seeing a lot of your books filling up with? Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'm seeing a lot more shorter haircuts. I feel like short hair is in. I feel like more of the coppery kind of brownish tones are in, more of grown out hair looks, not so much freshly touched up color. That workable kind of hair, but still not frizzy in any way, kind of more voluminous. I've noticed that that's been kind of like the whole vibe, more volume, shorter, edgier looks, but grown out.
Well, we're all about volume here on the Volume Up podcast. So music to our ears. All right, before we get into our quick takes, talk a little bit about what is like the favorite look that you've created over your career. I'd love to, I mean, again, you've worked with a bunch, you've done a lot of different projects, but like looking back, what are like the top 3 things that you've done where you're like, damn, like that was great. I'm excited about that. I could die now and be cool with this.
I would have to say definitely Kiara's color from Whippin'. Her music video Whippin' was one of my favorite colors. It was like a pastel-y pink with like yellows, oranges in it. It was just after that, everyone thought it was a wig. And I was like, no, I took time to color that hair. Like that's her hair with like extensions. And I think that was really cool. One of my other ones is Michelle Randolph. She's one of my like iconic blondes, her and her sister Cassie, both of them. They like are amazing, most kind-hearted souls in the entire world, and came out with the most beautiful. I met them, turned them into like these really beautiful kind of beachy blondes, and ever since then, it's like been like the color that everyone's striving to have is that kind of beachy Nordic blonde kind of tone. If I had to say another one, I would say collab with Bella Thorne when we did like some kind of a deep red with like pink highlights type of a thing through her hair with different pastel tones. That was also another one of my like iconic ones that I really loved.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Cassie and Michelle then. The colors that you're talking about, this is incredible. We're looking at an Instagram pic. We'll link it in the show notes. Talk to us about like this, what goes into it, how much highlighting, how much low lighting, like what color, do we use Goldwell again? Like, tell me everything.
Okay, so with these looks, I used Goldwell for sure. I have Cassie and Michelle on a regimen where I only highlight their hair probably once every 4 months. What I do is kind of like a base softening on them. I use a 2-part formula, hairline and root, that would soften their hairlines out to look like more of a natural kind of lifted blonde. And then a little base bump just kind of blend out their tone. With Michelle in this photo, she doesn't have them anymore, but we had extensions in her hair. This was through Richy Hair. I'm obsessed with their hairline because it's more of a Nordic-y kind of Russian hair texture, so it just blends really nicely with blondes and fine textured hair. And then for Cassie here, I believe we just have like a few clip-ins on her as well, and then her signature wispy bang look that we created for her that she has like definitely taken to another level. Everyone's wanting that look now. But yeah, that was my process, and then like a really nice like 10V violet toner over their hair that just kind of overlays it and gives it that like Nordic kind of shine to it.
I was just going to say, I mean, the thing that's so cool about this, and I'm sure you hear it all the time, is like it strikes the balance of being warm and cool at exactly the right time. Like it's not really one or the other in the best sense, because we've seen a lot of like the super icy, almost like metallic-y purple blonde trending for a long time. And we've seen like the honey. This is like the perfect marriage. So I'm curious, like how does one keep this up? I mean, you just talked about that you're having these clients coming in every couple of 4 months or so. What are your, pro tips to other stylists that are thinking of trying to accomplish this look for their clients?
So what I tell people are blondes are high maintenance. People that are not natural blondes, you're in the salon every 4 to 6 weeks minimum. I always have them coming in at least to do a base bump, because when I lift their hair, I'm not lifting it from such a dark tone where the melanin is actually sitting in the hair and just harder to lift out. So it kind of gives me like a little bit of softening to it when they do come back in, to lift it up a little bit higher without over processing. That's been my biggest thing with all my blondes, is turning their hair from something that was very damaged to very thick and youthful, without having to, overlap so much, kind of creating that tone and just keeping that tone from that point. So base softenings are always important. So I definitely tell my blondes, if I'm starting this process with you, it is your job to be here every 4 weeks, because I got to kind of balance this out for you.
And it's your name on the line. I mean, like if they're tagging you,
yeah,
you want that color to be right. And in this case, it is very much right. So talk to us a little bit about like dream clients next. Like what is, I mean, again, your clientele, you've got a deep bench, beautiful ladies that you've worked with and guys as well. What is on the horizon? Like, what are you hoping to do? Who do you want to work with? We'd love to hear it.
Honestly, I've always been really open, like to working with everybody. I've not had like a specific person that I've been like really dying to work with. I know that in my personal experiences, working with like kind of like the old time actresses were really kind of meaningful to me, because I was like, well, I grew up watching you in all these movies and shows. So like anytime I meet an actress that was like in films from like the 80s or 90s, I'm like going crazy for it, because I'm just like, it's iconic to me. Yeah. Katey Sagal, Diane Keaton. I worked with Julianne Phillips. I worked with, there's been so many different actresses. One of my clients now is Daisy Fuentes. She's been pretty iconic too in her way. So I'm like, I've been really lucky to work with like a wide range of like every kind of genre, I would just say, of like actors, actresses, and influencers, hosts. So I kind of just loved having the difference of housewives and people that work day to day, and everybody. I just feel like just having a good energy. Whoever's going to have a good energy this year for me, I'm ready to meet you.
I feel like that's what we all need to be going into 2023 with, like that kind of mindset. We're all about that, for you, for us, for everybody listening. Like, let's bring the energy up. All right, last thing before we get into our quick takes, what is next for you? Again, we've talked about maybe expanding the bench, working with some new clientele, but like projects on the horizon that you're excited about, things that you're working on for 2023 that you want to share.
So I am in talks of opening up my own place. Finally, I've been working and renting out a space in the salon for a while. I think it's finally time I just kind of create a name for myself and have a location. Just really having a certain image and a vibe that I kind of want to have for the salon. I want it to be very different, very unique, very chill, vibe. I want people to feel like they're going to a lounge in a sense and getting their hair done. So hopefully 2023 we'll be able to see a grand opening.
Okay. All right. We'd love to see it. Whereabouts in LA? What side?
I'm thinking, right now it's a little all over the place. I'm looking between Brentwood, Santa Monica to Sherman Oaks, Studio City. So it's within a good vicinity.
Right in there. We love that. Amazing. All right. Well, we will be the first to let everybody know when that opens up. Amazing. So let's get into our quick takes before we wrap. And we don't want to take up too much of your time. So let's do this. These are, of course, the questions we ask of all of our podcast guests. So the first question that we've got, are you superstitious? And if so, about what?
Yes, I am actually.
Okay.
I am. I would say definitely karma. I'm very superstitious of karma. Like I feel like putting out bad energy to people or treating somebody a certain way, you're going to have that come back at you in another sense. Anytime I felt like I was like, oh, maybe I was a little rude in that sense or did something a little that I shouldn't have, I'm like, it comes back to me and I'm like, that is exactly what I get for doing that in the first place. So I'm very superstitious in the sense of how I treat people and the energy that I treat people. And on top of that, I just never know if that person's going to be a client tomorrow walking in. So I'm just like, I always had to play like, be on my best behavior.
That's the reality. But also like a good life lesson. Like we should all be on our best behavior. Think about karma anyway. All right, cool. We'll take that. Talking a lot about the entertainment industry, you're based in LA, you've worked with a bunch of celebs. If there were a biopic about you, who would play you?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I would have to say, honestly, I could see him getting it right because he is a really good actor, and I've just seen some of his work. Garrett Clayton, he's one of my friends. I feel like he would be I'm like, I could see that. I could see him being like a hairstylist playing me and doing it right.
We'll take it. Again, if you're giving the rights away to your life, then sure, let's make it happen. All right. What do you consider the ultimate comfort food? Like, what is that thing where you're like, oh my God, I've had a really, really, really rough day. What's that thing?
It's chocolate chip cookies. That's my weakness. Yeah, like anything a hot, good chocolate chip cookie, like fresh. I'm sold. So
excellent choice. I feel you deeply on that one. What was your first ever product for beauty or hair that you owned that you remember that was like yours?
It's really embarrassing because
nothing's embarrassing. Nope.
It was the Got to Be glue.
Okay.
It was back in like the 90s. It was this yellow container, and it felt like a very hardened and soft Elmer's glue that you would just put in your hair. And it was the worst thing I probably could put in my hair because I looked crazy. I looked like a little Something About Mary kind of moment everywhere I was walking around. So that was not good for me. But yeah, that was, I would have to say that's the product.
Okay. Iconic. And Gotta Be's having a comeback. So we love to see it. Everything that's old is new again. All right. Last question. Say that you're on a deserted island and you can only bring 3 products with you. Tools, liquid, whatever the heck it is. What are those things?
Okay. I would say a facial cleanser.
Okay.
I mean, I can mix it with some sand, I guess, if there's something around. I need
fair. Some good exfoliating.
SPF for sure. And I would say a leave-in detangler. I don't know. I just have a thing about like conditioned hair. I just have to have it.
I think that's perfect. That's exactly what we want to hear. All right, Joseph, thank you so much for your time. This was great. We got to learn a lot about you, a lot about the process. We wish you tons of success in 2023. And as we said, if you're going to open up a space, we're going to be the first ones to cover that. So come back on the podcast anytime. Thanks for coming this first time.
For sure. Thank you so much.